guys, I'm back.
Okay, good morning everybody. Welcome today to cxo-cockpit Customer Expert Webinar, Effective Reporting using a case study at McDonald's Germany LLC. Let me introduce the session to you and the speakers. So today we're going to have three voices on today's webinar. The first one is myself. I'm Alfonso Colonino. I work directly for cxo-cockpit. I'm responsible for customers and new business across the Nordics region. Also on the webinar you will hear Thomas van Hellemond, who is the marketing manager, and he's going to support us today in controlling the webinar and also check some of the questions that you're going to be posting today. And I'd like to also introduce Philipp Clausen from McDonald's Deutschland. He is our customer and is going to be spending the majority of the time advising you about his journey on financial reporting. So the session today, it's going to be approximately 1 hour. We'd like to invite you to actually submit some questions into the actual webcast chat box, which should be available on your control panel. Please enter those questions at any time. We will take a lot of those questions towards the end. If any of them are pertinent to the conversation that's taken place at the time, Philip is more than happy to actually receive those questions during his conversation. So Thomas may interrupt and actually pose one of those questions to Philip during the actual webcast itself. If that doesn't happen, we will leave them towards the end of the session today. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about financial reporting and what that actually means to frame the question, and then I'll hand over to Philip, who will then explain more about McDonald's and what they've actually done within their particular region. So first of all, traditional EPM, Enterprise Performance Management Reporting, what does that typically look like? So generally, prior to any engagement of cxo-cockpit, we tend to see the Office of Finance creating monthly reporting packs or quarterly reporting board packs, or even more frequent reporting cycles. To actually create those reporting packs, the data is stored in data cubes within source systems. We tend to see, as you can see by this particular image on the screen, a very manual approach to extracting data from those source systems, creating formulas, updating the data, generally in an Excel kind of environment. There are some automated tools, but resulting ultimately in a very labor-intensive process to produce a report pack, which ultimately is very static. This is the common picture that we see on a regular basis whenever we engage with any new customers from cxo-cockpit's perspective. So the problems with this kind of EPM reporting are that the information is very disconnected from the original data source. If you are extracting data from that individual data source, then of course it's no longer live. You no longer know whether you're actually talking about the latest piece of information. So there's the first challenge. Of course, then you have a challenge which is it's uncontrolled. Each time you extract the data and it's then shared with multiple users within an organization, you now have a situation where somebody can actually change the data, they can update the information, and we end up in a situation where we argue about the number instead of arguing about how we're going to improve performance within the business. Sometimes we tend to see that the reporting tools used tend to be PDF, a PowerPoint, or even the original Excel documents, and those don't allow for further analysis to take place because it's very difficult to drill down into those numbers. Therefore, they're very static. we tend to see that most of these solutions are driven by IT. And if you want to do multiple extracts or ask the IT department to actually support the finance function, you need to get your request onto their list as part of their program. You don't feel as if you are in control of making those changes within the actual process that you adopt for financial reporting. And ultimately, it's a very inefficient process to actually creating financial reporting. It's not unheard of that we have seen in excess of 20 days for the reporting cycle to be completed, and therefore the management of viewing reports 20 plus days into the month and looking at the previous month's data. So if you need to take decisions about the direction, the strategic direction of the business based on a month and a half old data, it's going to be very slow to actually improve performance within agile finance teams. So with cxo-cockpit, we've created a solution that enables the empowering of the finance function through what we like to refer to as digital reporting. And that means that we want to provide access from the data direct to cxo-cockpit, providing that reporting capability for yourselves. So we enable direct connectivity to multi-dimensional finance systems like planning, budgeting, forecasting systems. We want to provide a single version of the truth, a central reporting solution that everybody can access, and that you do not argue about the number. You're now talking about the movements from the previous period or the thresholds, and you're talking about specifically what's gone on within the business with regards to those variances. And then of course we have, for speed and simplicity, we have some pre-built capability to very quickly visualize information from the source data using pre-built templates. And all of this is managed by finance. cxo-cockpit allows access to multiple data sources. We can see on the screen now that here are some of the leading systems in the marketplace. We have a number of key adapters that allow data to be viewed straight away and taken into cxo-cockpit as part of that process. This is one of our unique selling points, is the ability to access the information, not only access the information, but inherit the actual accounting structure, the hierarchical structure, the data, the metadata already from those source systems. So we're not replicating the information, you're viewing it directly from those underlying source systems. cxo-cockpit is a digital performance reporting, and within the solution we've created a number of key features to enable the reporting process to be efficient and effective for an organization. Listed on the screen are some of the key examples of some of the features within the solution to improve the overall reporting facility. So there's a little bit about cxo-cockpit and a little bit about the background. What I want to do now is talk about a customer case study, and of course, as you know, that is McDonald's. It's specifically within the German region. I'm going to give you just a quick overview. Essentially, it's specifically for the German region. We can see on the screen now some key statistics. My colleague Philipp will actually go into a little bit more detail about these specific aspects of the organization. But what's key is that they've been a client of cxo-cockpit since 2014, and specifically they use Oracle Hyperion Essbase. That's what they connect to using one of those cxo connectors. So my final slide is to introduce our presenter today in a little bit more detail, which is Philipp Clausen. He's a senior member of the budgeting and reporting department within McDonald's in Deutschland. He's responsible for a team of 4 people, all finance BI processes for the professional and technical sides. And prior to his career at McDonald's, Philipp gained 3 years of professional experience at Deloitte. So he's experienced from multiple organizations and brought to bear all of that experience to McDonald's. So what I'd like to do now is ask Thomas to hand over to the control of the presentation to Philipp so he can do the case study.
All right, everyone. Good morning. I hope you can see my screen. During the next 30 minutes, I will give you a brief overview of the systems we have in place at McDonald's and how we connect to these systems using CXO as a reporting solution. I will also give you the reasons why we've chosen CXO in 2014, and I will give you a quick demo of the system. So I think it will be quite interesting just to see how we handle things at the business intelligence department here at McDonald's. Just a quick overview of the organization, because that becomes important when we talk about what were the criteria of choosing CXO in the past. As you can see, located in the Department of Finance, we have a Department of Strategic Partnering, where I'm the Senior Team Manager for the finance systems, working together with 4 employees and 1 offshore resource, maintaining the financial business intelligence systems that we have in place, and also responsible for the financial planning and budgeting and month-end close processes here in the company. Our current architecture is consists of multiple layers, where we have the legacy data sources at the bottom with an old AS400 system called MSys, where we have the transactional data, general ledger data in. We have some metadata management tools like Microsoft MDM. We have a tool called GDW, which is a global data warehouse where some transactional data is in. And then we have transactional data from registers stored in the Google BigQuery. That's a big data tool, a big data cloud solution from Google. From all of these systems, we're pulling data into a central data warehouse that is based on a Microsoft SQL Server 2016. And after applying some business logics on it, we will then push it further into the planning layer, where we have some applications for each of the planning and budgeting processes. That is top-down forecasting and planning located in the application DE Plan, but also a bottom-up budgeting located in DE Ops for restaurant managers and in DE Cost for cost center owners. That's where we have, for cost center owners, twice a year, a bottom-up budgeting, and for restaurant managers, actually a monthly forecasting and a weekly simulation. So about 120 restaurant managers enter their monthly forecast into the system and revise it each week. On the reporting side, we have DE Core, which is an S-based ASO application where we actually pump in all the data from the planning data sources as well as from the general ledger. And then we have a new application called DE Sales or Data Warehouse, which is actually an SSAS cube. That's the aggregated transactional data coming from registers, aggregated by quarter of an hour. And here we can do intensive product mix analysis. So actually what's important here is that we have 2 technologies as a reporting data source. One is S-based ASO and the other one is Microsoft SSAS. During the software selection in 2014, we only had S-based as a technology, and it was actually the first modern BI system that we ever implemented at McDonald's Germany, because prior to 2011, actually the only reports that we're having were coming out of Access and Excel. with direct connections to AS400, and actually there was still a needle printer in place printing out income statements. So when we introduced Hyperion Planning and S-Base in 2011, the hunger for modern reporting quickly grew, and what we did in the first place was to pull out data using Excel and SmartView out of the planning cubes and then send out reports. So the standard way, also that what Alfonso showed us before, but that grew quite quickly and got really, really messy in terms of maintaining hierarchy structures in the separate Excel tools. We were sending out almost 30 different emails with PDFs, with Excel during month-end close and projections, and so we decided that we need a modern front end actually for Hyperion Planning, and set up some criteria what the front end needs to be like. Actually, the most important point was S-Base integration, and the second most important point was simplicity, since we don't have that much support out of the IT department, so everything that you see here is actually maintained, is developed, and is run from the controlling department and from the controllers that became quite experts in running systems by now. What we then did is that with the requirements we defined, we asked BARC, an independent research institute. It's kind of like the German Gartner, to give us a long list and to do a workshop with us, and just to give us a market overview of current BI tools, which we then evaluated against our criteria. From the long list, where we had like 10 tools on there, also like from the big companies like Oracle, BI, also MicroStrategy was on there. There was Click, we had Tableau in the evaluation. We narrowed it down to two, which were cxo-cockpit and CubeWare. Those two were the ones that fulfilled our requirements the best, and actually were really easy to maintain without with minimum IT involvement, and reports can be created by the controllers. So from the short list, we installed the two last softwares still on the list, and then just did a 4-week trial. So users were able to create reports, to work with both systems, and then we did a survey among 30 controllers to ask them which system suits them the most, and cxo-cockpit won the survey. So we decided for cxo and went on with the implementation. And actually everything we found from the proof of concept and also from the user survey, we found that during the implementation as well, because as you can see, just a brief overview of the project plan, from the actual installation of cxo on our servers to the go live of the first report package, we only needed 8 weeks. That is with the report creation really being in the hands of the controllers, of the people who created the Excel reports. They also created the cxo-cockpit report, so it was really easy for them to work with the system and to get into handling cxo here. At the moment, all of our financial processes are supported by the BI landscape and are reported on by cxo-cockpit. So if you can see on the left side, we have actual projection plan, budget, and bottom-up scenarios that are all created in Hyperion Planning and are then forwarded into S-Base ASO, as well as the product mix data coming from the registers in the restaurant, derived out of transactional data, which is stored on MS SQL and is then forwarded into SSAS for reporting. All of these processes are supported by cxo. So users only have one single point of entry. They only access cxo to get all the data they need. A few words about the user base. So during actual projection plan, It's about 30 users from controlling plus 5 top management users, and there are also some users from other business areas on there, but it's just a few that have interest in the data from actual projection and plan. During budget times, we have a plus 150 cost center owners on the systems that do their budget in Hyperion planning, but do their reporting in CXO, also their work in progress reporting. And then for the bottom-up restaurant scenarios, which I mentioned we're doing weekly, we have 200 restaurant managers on there. So they enter the data in Hyperion as well, but then report on it also using cxo-cockpit. Regarding reports, we have about 50 reports for financial insights and actual projection plan, budget, and bottom-up scenarios where we support different stages of the workflow. So when we have work in progress, when we're talking about work in progress, it's during the scenario creation. So after month-end close, when we load the data, we apply the business logic, and then we are ready with the month-end close, we can always control all the steps in the process with cxo-cockpit. When we're done, we forward a link to the senior management for approval of the scenarios, and after approval, we will then give the reports for, or we will then have the security altered so that everybody can access the reports and doing their analysis like plan deviations to actual, to budget, to forecast. For product mix data, it's a bit different. We have, for product mix, we only have the analysis and then afterwards the self-service. So what we, at the moment, we're sending around a lot of tools regarding product mix still. All that thing that we don't do anymore for financials is still done for product mix because the project is quite fresh. We just finished it 2 weeks ago. And there's still a lot of work done in product mix data. Like one of my team members is needing 3 days actually to get a product mix report up and send it around in a 15 megabyte Excel sheet. All the stuff is going into cxo-cockpit at the moment, so and will be created automatically. So we save 3 days for this one report only in the future. What we did prior to implementation is that you see on the left all these Excel sheets and PDFs. They had a different layout, a different style. Some were colorful, some were not so colorful, and we tried to standardize that. So we sat down and created a style guide where we defined what's the font size we want to use, which colors are we going to use, what's the RGB code for green and red when we show deviations, when do we use indentation, how much levels do we have, where do we show sums, at the bottom or at the top, what's the time series, how do we display it, months, quarters, full year, not full year, quarter, months, or whatever other time series visualization you might see. And also, how are we going to do scenario analysis? So it's always actual against projection, against plan, against budget, always in this order. So cxo helped us to actually enforce this style guide, because as a cxo administrator, you can define different formats for the reports. So you define a format that's called sum, and then you're always sure that people using that, it will be an 11 point and maybe bold because it's a sum. People are not able to create a 14-point yellow font or yellow background. They just can use the formats that we define for them. Okay, that was just a brief overview. I will show you a quick demo of the system, and then I'll talk about the benefits, and I'm happy to answer all your questions later. So, let me just show you from the start. So once you log in, what you see is just a homepage that you can define. This is the homepage for the user group of controllers. So they would just see a quick value tree, income statement broken down by deviation to projection, so they can, at the first glance, they see if there are some areas of the income statement that need further attention. In this case, everything is green, but still, if you want to go into detail, those are linked. So if you click on operating income, it will open up the operating income report, and that's actually what you can see here is the style guide I was talking about. When we have month-to-date, year-to-date on a report, we always create butterfly reports. We have the month-to-date on the left, and then from actual, projection, deviation, plan, delta, and then prior year. There's no budget on the report, else there would be another budget column. Those reports are quite large and quite information intensive, but they have all the information people need regarding income statements. Also, we have some drill down capability also on these reports. So that's just that was just the standard income statement report. But what's also really important for us is to know about our restaurant portfolio. So what happens in the portfolio? Do we have new store openings? Yes, we have one here in January. Let me see which restaurant is that. So we can here drill down from one dimension, which is the owner type, over another dimension, which is the current status of the restaurant, into the restaurant itself. So we see that that restaurant at the Frankfurt airport has been opened sometime in the past and is still here in the system as a new restaurant until it becomes fully comparable 13 months after the opening. Same goes for restaurants that have been sold from McOpCo to franchise. That's even more important, so we can see which restaurants have been sold from our own operating company into franchise, and we quickly see where margin effects might come from. So that's the one side. That's the management reporting, senior level management reporting with different reports. They all look the same. So we always have these butterfly, and we have a 12-month overview as well of the income statement for the different income statement areas. So as you can see here, that's the restaurant P&L aggregated on Germany level with the 12-month overview, and here's also some drill down capabilities that the controlling department have defined. But senior management reporting is it's only one topic that we're addressing with CXO. We have another topic, that's G&A cost center reporting. So what we actually want from our cost center owners is to keep track of their actuals against budget. So every cost center owner has the possibility to compare their actuals against their budget, and then has the possibility to drill down into reporting lines down to accounting account. So that's really the account level out of the transactional system, and then is also able to drill that down to projects if they want to, so they see exactly where deviations come from in the specific line. And what we integrated, and what's really good about CXO, is that it gives you the possibility to just display other web applications that you might have in place inside of CXO. So what I'm doing now, I'm logging into the transactional system. It's a legacy system called Web G&A. It's not CXO visualizing now, it's the Web G&A, it's legacy system, where I can go into further details of the transactions about the account that I was just reviewing. And this is a development environment, that's why not all functionality is given, but still, if I click here on production, I would get an image showing the actual receipt. So from CXO, I can drill down. It in cxo I drill down to account level. I can then further go into detail, really see all the transactions on my account, and even get the vouchers or the document if it would be available on that. You would just see the actual scanned invoice here for this transaction, and you're able to actually also do a rebooking all out of cxo-cockpit. So let me see. The next topic, that's all based on S-Base, and then we have these, the WebGNA. On development, is the reports to the reports on the different source systems are separated. On production, it's all in one application. So what you see here, the logging in, logging out, it's just because it's the demo system. On production, all the reports are on one system, so it's one login. You get all the information. Where logging in now is the application that sits on top of the data warehouse with the transactional data, where you get all your information regarding product mix, and also really in an extensive detail. So if we would go down here, we drill into the a la carte sandwiches, and there might be some products in there that you recognize, for example, the Big Mac. And you can even go further, because the Big Mac is not only sold as the Big Mac, but in this case as also an add-on to a McPick EVM. So you really have the self-service capabilities here in cxo to get a lot of information about product mix. Another thing where we're using cxo is to create or to create dashboards, or not dashboards, but also reporting. How do you say it? Reporting books. So even though everything is online, there's still the need to send a PDF around, and for people to print it out and take it with them. You know, some people still like that. So what we have here is we have a report that's not really great online. It's just we created this report as a free format template. So cxo allows you to just put every reporting. Those are separate reports, and you can all group them together on one sheet. And it's not really interactive. It's just a bit drilled down here. But you see here's a list of cities where we actually do delivery in, which is pulled dynamically, so there's not a lot of maintenance to do. Every time we have a new city live, it will just appear in here. And also, as you can see, on Germany level, it breaks down into cities. If you go to a city, it will break down to the next level into the restaurants. But the great thing about this is we have a storyboard. Storyboard is it's just different views of a report or different reports grouped together as a story. You could either play that storyboard online, so it will just have all the reports and the views you defined in an order, or you can export it so that you create a report, a map, or a book. And since those are 20 cities, I just prepared it. So what comes out of this is the same report you saw here with one page for every city, which is quite convenient for us because there's still a need from operations to have that as a PDF. So we just print it out for every city there is and send it around with no manual work to be done. This report took about 3 hours or maybe half a day every week to create in Excel. Now it's just coming out of the system. We just need to click a button and send it around. Okay, that was the demo of the system. Just a few words about the benefits that we're having. As I told you, the monthly emails for actual plan projection that we send around was reduced from 20 to just 4, and those 4 are actually reduced to 1 at the moment. It's only just one executive secretary that still gets a printout for archiving purposes. The PDF reports also reduced from 20 to 8, so a lot of the PDFs that have been sent around in the past are not getting sent around anymore, but we just send a link to cxo. We don't need any approval cycles per email anymore. We just send out a link to senior management, say, do you approve this version? Yes, it's approved, and then we're good to go. We receive far less questions by top management, actually, since they are able to pull out the information they need directly out of the system. And if they need further details, there's actually a lot of capabilities to drill down and to actually get the information you need in self-service. That will become even far less in the future with the new data warehouse, where all the questions that we get regarding product mix, like how many coffees have we sold in the last few months, stuff like that, all these questions, they can be answered using the cxo-cockpit self-service. We spend far less hours creating monthly reporting packages and have the time actually to focus on analyzing of the data and not so much on creating the data or collecting the data. And yeah, we don't have any smart view users outside of controlling anymore. In the past, every operations manager, that's a guy who manages about 10 stores or 10 restaurant managers, had an Excel tool for this simulation, for this bottom-up reporting that I was talking about. They all use cxo at the moment, and we don't have any Excel smart view outside of controlling anymore. And what's actually one of the largest benefits is that we don't have any ungoverned KPIs anymore, because everything comes out of the system, everything comes out of cxo. When we're talking about a number, we're talking about the same number out of the same source and not about the number somebody somehow created in his Excel sheet. So that's from my side. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Hi everybody, I hope you all can hear me. My name is Thomas. I'm a Marketing Communication Specialist for cxo. I'll be asking the questions to Philipp today. Since you're on that slide, Philipp, you mentioned that you reduced the time making reports and you are now doing more in-depth analysis. One of the questions is, can you go deeper into how that impacted the McDonald's in not needing to create those reports anymore? What's time frames?
Yeah, when we're talking about for example, the projection package, that was a package really of like 30 different emails with different reports in there. I think that we saved almost 2 to 3 days here, because it took a lot of time to create it, a lot of time to review each of the reports, because when you have when it's not linked to any data source, you need to review every report, make sure that the figures are the same. Right now, we just open the report in cxo, check numbers, and then when the numbers fit or when they're correct, we know they are correct everywhere. So yeah, it's a significant reduced at the time that we need to create reports has been significantly reduced, and the time that we have for actually more development in the BI field and for the data analysis has improved. So a project like the data warehouse that we did with the transactional data from registers would not have been possible in the past, because I didn't have the resources for it. They were all stuck in daily business.
Okay, I think that's pretty good. We got a question. Do all users have access to all the data? If not, how do you control which users have access to which data?
Yeah. In the financial statement area, actually security is quite restrictive. So we have the security in the data source in Essbase, and cxo just pulls the security out of the data source. So everything users are not allowed to see in Essbase, they are not allowed to see in cxo. On top of that, we have user groups as well in cxo, where we manage which folders they see. So when you saw the demo, there were a lot of different folders and a lot of reports, because I'm an admin user. As a cost center owner, you will only have a folder for the G&A reporting that you just saw. As senior management, you will only see the management reporting and the cost center reporting. So that's what we do in cxo. We sort users into user groups and then assign different reports and folders to them. Plus that we have the security on the data source. So if you log in as a cost center owner and you only have a single cost center that belongs to you, you will also only see a single cost center in the point of view selector.
Okay, well, we have a lot of questions coming in. This one's fairly relevant. During the implementation, did you go through a transformation change in process or face data quality issues?
No, because what we did was we just took all the smart view tools that were based on the data source Hyperion S-Base already, and we put them into cxo. So what we had to do was just check, make sure that the same figures that were in the report were also in cxo. Actually, what we did, or what we realized, was that there were some mistakes in Excel tools, like a formula not linked to the right cell or not pulled down correctly, you know, the typical errors you do in Excel. And sometimes then when we wondered why the reports in cxo were different from the underlying Excel tools, we actually had to go back and check that the Excel tools were correct. So yeah, the data got better, the quality of the reports were getting better, but that was due to the poorly maintained Excel tools, not to the data source that was correct in the first place.
All right. Another question. Who created the navigation part of cxo-cockpit? Was it IT?
No, we did that ourselves. Which do you mean the navigation part, like this linking to the web GNA, or the top part? Yeah, that's native cxo. That's just from cxo-cockpit.
All right.
Yes. Yeah. What you do, Belen is asking if we did it ourselves. Yes, we did it ourselves. It's just you install cxo-cockpit, you create a report, and you sort the report into a folder, and then it will create the structure for you.
All right. Next questions. Do you use native user directories in S-Base?
Yes, it's S-Base or shared services as the authentication provider for S-Base. It's using MZAT Active Directory, so the Windows logons.
All right. Another question is, do you bring any non-financial data, inform another data source, and combine it with your reporting? Do you get non-financial data with financial data to make your finance reports?
Yes. What we do at the moment is that we're working on bringing data in there from our delivery partners, like time of delivery, the miles or the kilometers they drove, how long did the total delivery work, how long was the drive, and stuff like that. We will integrate that into the data warehouse, and then we'll visualize it with cxo. But another thing is what's good about cxo and the integration of other data sources that I showed you is that what we have also for in-depth analysis is Tableau. So for number crunching and digging into detail we use Tableau. And when we create a nice report out of Tableau and we think, hey, that's a good one, we want to use that as a standard report, actually Tableau is not the best tool to provide standard reporting. But what you can do, you can deploy it to a Tableau server and then just visualize it here in cxo. The performance not too great, just a test. So I will keep answering questions. You will just see in the background how there is a Tableau dashboard coming up inside of cxo. And as long as we don't have the non-financial data integrated, we do not have it integrated in the data warehouse at the moment, it will come within the next few weeks, but we can just pull it into Tableau, visualize it, and put it in here. So we actually have like kind of a fast track for integrating new data sources.
All right. Next question, since you're already in cxo, do the account description that are visible in cxo, is that the same in the underlying data source?
It depends. Yeah, in some places we use the native description out of the underlying data source, but since S-base requires unique aliases as well, there are some where we just overwrite them in cxo. So you can just say, okay, for this member, use this description. You can do that dynamically by creating rules, or you can do that just for when you have a list of accounts. You just put in your technical names, and then you put the labels for the accounts next to it, and then cxo will just show the user-friendly names.
All right. Last question I see here for you, Philipp, would be, do you use the commenting capabilities in cxo?
We use it for during budget, but what we do there is, at the moment, we're pulling the comments out of Hyperion Planning and import them into the cxo repository to display in cxo. What we have planned and also have as a prototype is we have a commenting tool that we need to send to global each month, which is to comment on the deviation between actual plan and projection. And we have that in cxo already, and we will start using it I think next month to collect the comments from the business areas. So there's also the next Excel tool that we don't need anymore. We just need to find a way to get the comments out of cxo into the Excel tool, because that's what we actually need to send to global by month end. So in the background now, you see it's just loaded the graph from Tableau, just to prove that it works. Performance is not too great. This was just a test from me. But yeah, that also, you want to keep it simple for the users. You don't want them to log on to Tableau and to cxo and to wherever else, WebGNA. So that's why we integrate everything in cxo, and it not only serves as a reporting tool here, but also as a content management tool if you want.
Okay. I guess this will be the last question for you. They keep coming in. Do you use concurrent licenses? How?
We have actually with cxo, we have unlimited connectors and unlimited users. At the moment, cxo gives you the possibility to track about concurrence, and we saw that the concurrent peak was about 120 users that we have. Or do you mean for S-base, Lydia? cxo, yeah. No, we have an unlimited users license, but depending on your needs, they will tailor a package for you. I think we were the first actually to buy unlimited users.
All right. Well, I'll move now to questions to Alfonso, which are more cxo technical base. The one question asked is, can we get such reports from Hyperion Financial Reporting, Financial Report, sorry, HRF?
Maybe this is a question that that Philipp might like to answer. Did you previously do this kind of reporting, Philipp, in at McDonald's in HRF?
No, we went from Excel to straight to cxo.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
No, sorry, we don't use Hyperion Financial Reports. We never used the term. I don't know about that.
Okay, let's move on to the next question.
Does cxo connect directly to SAP HANA?
That's the question to myself. I mean, as part of the connectors, yes, it does. We have a connector to SAP HANA. That is correct, in the same way as we have the other connectors.
A question asked earlier, which is fairly very relevant, is are the native adapters certified by the various vendors?
Yes, this is correct. We also use the official API provided by each of the vendors too.
Right. Next question. Did you try to connect to HFM directly, not over Hyperion planning? I guess this one's for Philipp.
We're not using HFM. We're not using HFM. We just use Hyperion planning. So. But I know that they have an HFM connector in place, actually, and they did a lot of work with that to upgrade it to 11.124 as well. So there you can connect directly to HFM with cxo-cockpit.
All right. I would ask the people who still have questions to please type them in because we're running a bit out of time. A question just came in. How real-time data are in the date in planning? Could you rephrase that pretty, please?
So what we do...
Sorry, Philip, I think the question is associated with when you talk about real-time, how real-time is the data that's visible in cxo-cockpit? I think that's what they mean by that question.
So, yeah, for planning, we set up the planning data source, we load actuals in there, some people start working on it, and then we have a synchronization with the S-Base ASO every 2 minutes. So every 2 minutes, data is pushed from planning into S-Base. For financial close, it's just a monthly load, so we load data there after month-end closing. And for the data warehouse, it's actually a daily load where we receive the transactional data out of our 1,500 restaurants and then just aggregate them, load them through into the SSAS cube, and then they are visible at 8:30 in the morning. The data from last day is there for users to see. Yes, it's maximum 2 minutes old.
All right. Next question is, what kind of feedback have you received from your dashboard storyboard users?
So far, only really positive feedback. They're all, for them, it's good that they don't have to print out everything anymore. They can access this whenever they want. They can pull the information they need at the time they need it. And actually, our senior management is now making intensive use of iPads, also in meetings. So they sit in meetings with their peers, pulling out their iPads and then just projecting CXO onto the wall, and then they go through or they go over the numbers using CXO and the iPad app.
I think that's it. I think we've answered all the questions. Wait, there's one coming in. You talked about 8 weeks between installation and go live, but also about using Tableau for next sources. Could you go a bit deeper into that? Oh, wait.
Oh, no, there was a misunderstanding there. We separate between standard reporting and data discovery. Everything that's standard goes into CXO, also for new sources. So the delivery reporting you saw and also the product mix reporting you saw, that was based on SSAS, and it takes you a day, and actually CXO does it for you if you're not able to do it yourself, to connect to a new data source, and then also just to have it up in your application and start building reports. It's really easy. What we're going to use Tableau for is this data exploration on the transactional level, and should there be a dashboard or something interesting that you want to publish and that should go into standard reporting, we will either then create a report in CXO, a native CXO, or if there is a visualization capability that maybe CXO can't do and Tableau can, we will just put the Tableau report in CXO. But the use cases for Tableau and standard reporting are really limited. because point of view selectors are not that good. It's really technical. If you're talking about MDX data sources, so OLAP data sources, Tableau is not the tool of choice to build standard reporting. It's more a tool to go on the SQL level, to surf through your data, see if you find some new insights, and then maybe create a standard reporting out of it.
All right. Well, I guess this is it. We're nearing the end. Alfonso, if you could pick it up from here.
Okay, thank you very much, Thomas. I'd like to conclude the webinar for today. Thank you very much to the audience for asking all of those really great, insightful questions. And many, many thanks to Philipp Clausen from McDonald's in Germany for presenting and taking a lot of time out of his day to conceive the actual presentation that you've seen today and share with us a demonstration. So Philipp, we thank you very much for taking that time to do so. We will make available all the questions and the answers along with the slides that you've seen during today's webinar. So I'm going to draw to a close our webinar, and thank you very much everybody for joining today. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.